WMDT 47 News, live at 10.
Sexual crime on Delmarva. The numbers are high, but a low number of victims are reporting it. Local experts tell us what needs to be done to fix the disparity.
Plus, the recession is technically behind us, but some still have doubts about the economy. How things look for the upcoming year here on Delmarva.
And imagine driving along without touching the brake pedal. Your car comes to a complete stop. We're not talking about an automotive malfunction, but the latest safety technology. But are the features worth the high price tag? Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Emily Lampa.
And I'm David Caldwell. More news in less time starts now.
A shock for parents and students at Lord Baltimore Elementary School in Sussex County when it was announced that both the principal and assistant principal are now on administrative leave. The school district won't comment on why John Trussline and Melissa Oates were placed on leave yesterday. All they would say is that the decision was made pending further action by the Board of Education, calling it a personnel matter. The superintendent for the Indian River School District said in a statement, quote, "I would like to reassure parents that the recent changes in the school's administrative staff are not the result of any criminal activity or issues involving the safety and welfare of children," end quote. Now, this afternoon, the district announced that Gary Brittingham and Anne Marie Lagulo will serve as acting principal and assistant principal starting on the 21st. And of course, for the latest developments on this administrative change, make sure you head over to our website, WMDT.com.
According to the Department of Justice, every 2 minutes a person is sexually assaulted in the United States. In his weekly On the Lookout report, WMDT's Cody Leibowitz tells us what that means locally.
Be on the lookout for a month.
It shocks our community consciousness.
Sexual assault, rape, sexual violence, crimes legally defined as engaging in sexual act by force or the threat of force.
You have suffocation or strangulation.
A number of women who have been pinched in elevators. That's sexual violence.
But the pain for the hundreds of victims just in Wicomico County goes beyond the words written in a criminal law book.
They struggle with a self-reflection of what they've done that day. Did they do everything they could do to protect themselves? How are they ever going to get past this?
The amounts of sexual violence, Sergeant David Owens says, still staggering, and a majority of the crimes going unreported. WMDT examined the numbers in 2013. Life Crisis Center, which offers therapy for Wicomico, Worcester, and Somerset counties, heard from 366 victims. Peninsula Regional Medical Center treated close to 140 people for sexual assault. But WBI says only 46 cases were reported, with 18 arrests.
When you go through the court process and have to watch a patient on the stand and have to listen to them talk about what happened to them and explain to these people what happened to them, you can understand why they don't want to report it.
Michelle Hughes, executive director of the Life Crisis Center, says unless society changes perceptions of the word rape, many victims will continue to hide and criminals continue to prey.
We have to stop saying to victims, you know, if you make a false report, you could go to jail.
Cody Leibowitz, On the Lookout.
Next Thursday, WMDT will show you how several different agencies treat victims and help them through these traumatic events.
WMDT 47 News first forecast.
Well, a fairly mild afternoon for us here on the peninsula. Temperatures reaching a seasonable average of right around 44 degrees. Now, it felt a bit cooler out there, and we're still feeling those cool conditions as we continue through the overnight hours tonight. Temperatures in the 30s along the mid-Atlantic coast, and you can barely see that behind our little logo down there. 44 degrees in Orlando. I'm sure they are pulling out the winter wear, but we are going to be seeing some chilly conditions as we head into your weekend. As I mentioned, 31 here in Salisbury, looking at some clear skies out there. As to be expected, winds on the calm side, and were those clear skies actually sticking around not just for overnight tonight, but through your day, at least the first part of your day tomorrow. You see that precipitation off towards the west, moving through Ohio. Well, that brings in chances for some flurries for your weekend. Nothing to worry about, though, but we'll give you the details and exactly what to expect coming up in just a few more minutes. Emily?
Thank you so much, Travis. Well, improved mapping technology led FEMA to make some changes to which areas of Worcester County are more prone to flooding. According to the federal officials, Ocean City is one of the areas found to be less flood prone. And tonight, more than 100 residents showed up at a meeting to learn how those changes will impact flood insurance rates. Some local insurance agents we spoke with worry that changes could leave residents uninsured.
Some properties may now be located outside of the special flood hazard area, but it does not necessarily mean that they will never be flooded. If their flood insurance zone changes, it may have a change in their flood insurance premium.
The dilemma, in my opinion, is a mortgage company will not be mandated to require flood insurance, which means that unit owners or dwelling owners, property owners will say, well, if my mortgage company doesn't require flood insurance, I'm not going to buy it.
If you live in Worcester County and weren't able to make it out to that meeting, we have a link to FEMA's revised flood insurance mapping on our website. While President Obama prepares for his upcoming economy-focused State of the Union address, here on the Eastern Shore, financial experts, politicians, and business owners are doing some planning of their own. Leaders at the 2014 Economic Forecast Conference said that the worst is behind us and we're on track to economic recovery. And experts say a lot of that will rely heavily on American manufacturing.
The manufacturing renaissance is really kind of the key part of our capital market forecast. The downside of our forecast is we don't really see that benefiting labor very much, as so much of the manufacturing that's going in now is really automated.
Other big drivers for the Eastern Shore continue to be real estate, tourism, development, and agriculture.
In consumer news tonight, well, we've seen safety features on cars like beeping and cameras for when you're driving in reverse, and even technology to help reduce blind spots. But the newest wave of automobile safety claims to warn drivers and maybe even stop your car before a crash happens. WMDT's Jared Hill joins us live in Salisbury now with a look at some of this technology. Jared?
Yeah, David, I'm out here in our trusty WMDT News SUV, which doesn't quite have some of these safety features, but looking at the video of what this stuff can do is pretty amazing. But the question is, with it adding on thousands of dollars to the price of a new car, is it really worth it?
Thousands of people die from automobile crashes in the U.S. each year. And while educating drivers is the first line of defense, car makers have begun rolling out new technology to help drivers avoid collisions. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety tested a number of new cars equipped with collision avoidance technology to see if they're not only effective, but worth the money.
These systems are in fact helping drivers avoid being in crashes.
The group found warning systems that alert drivers if they're getting too close to another car, cut collisions by about 7%. Add in automatic braking systems and that number doubles. Even if the technology doesn't completely stop a crash, research found it can reduce speed enough to cause less damage and cut down the cost of a crash. Like in this case, going from nearly $30,000 in damage at 25 miles an hour to less than $6,000 at 12 miles an hour. But AAA officials worry people could become too dependent on the safety tool.
Motorists need to keep in mind that although the Highway Loss Data Institute is reporting a reduction in crashes with these new systems, equipment can still fail.
Now, in addition to the safety features, something else people are looking forward to with some of this crash avoidance technology is possibly having lower insurance rates. Now, I spoke to AAA representative today who said that with this technology being used in only about 5 to 10% of new cars sold, it's still a little bit too early to tell. But live in Salisbury, Jared Hill, WMDT 47 News.
All right, thank you, Jared. Definitely some interesting technology. Now, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety ranked these safety features in a number of cars. We have that information over on our website.
And now to the stories making headlines across our nation this evening. 3 men are in police custody as hundreds of firefighters continue to battle a huge wildfire in Southern California's San Gabriel Mountains. Nearly 2,000 residents have been evacuated. 2 homes have burned. Authorities say 3 men in their 20s were arrested for recklessly starting the fire in the dangerously dry and windy foothills.
In Washington, Congress has quickly passed a $1.1 trillion bill easing the harshest effects of last year's automatic spending cuts. The bill funds every agency of government through September and includes payment for the implementation of President Obama's health care law. It now heads to the White House for the president's signature.
And still to come tonight, a local father turns a harrowing experience into a positive change when it comes to monitoring heart health for students in the first state.
And hundreds of food companies band together to push for better labeling when it comes to identifying GMOs. Those details up next in your Family Health Report.
Find these stories and more at WMDT.com.